January 6, 1923, London. 5 adventurers gather, drawn together by an insidious plot designed by a dread hand. Drawn together to embark on a journey from the River Thames to the shores of the Bosphorus. Traveling through Europe on a coal-powered palace, they'll combat terrors ancient and new. They'll see the wounds of the World War just recently ended, and the rumblings of another yet to come. They'll experience opulence rarely seen, and terrors unimaginable. Join us now for the horror on the Orient Express.
This is the introduction for Robert Frobisher, played by Ryan. Ryan, why don't you say hi?
Hi.
If you could describe your character in like 1 or 2 thorough sentences.
Robert Frobisher, he's a composer. He has been making music for quite a while.
Well, with that, why don't we introduce our friend Robert properly.
Dearest Philip, I know it must have felt like a millennium since my last letter to you, but things have gone sideways and I'm now needing your assistance more than ever. The man you knew to being my father was none other than a con and a thief. My true parents were both murdered when I was a young child. My life was forfeited to him when I was 9 after bouncing from relative to relative as they were unable to take care of me as they could never understand my love for music. Uncle Francis reluctantly took me in as he was too busy as a musician to take care of a young boy as he traveled from place to place. He soon found my love for music, and what I thought was him helping me develop and fine-tune my skills was only to benefit him and his greed. It all started with my first arabesque I wrote when I was 13. I interrupted him as he was practicing in his drawing room to share my, at the time, masterpiece. He was annoyed to the fact that I would intrude on his personal time. When he finally lowered and placed down his violin and bow, he requested that I play my tune for him. While my quaking fingers played the music, his demeanor changed and his scowl changed to a smirk. After I finished, he told me that my music would never amount to anything and that I needed more work. He took my sheet music and tucked it away in his secretary, and it tore out my heart. I thought my music was beautiful and meaningful. However, his words meant nothing. Less than 3 months' time, my uncle had a friend over to listen to him play for an upcoming orchestra. I was not allowed to be in the room as I was just a child, according to my uncle, and his friends were way too sophisticated to have any time for a talentless nephew like me. While I waited in the other room, I could hear not his violin like normal, but the piano. The music that came from the room was none other than the arabesque that I wrote. My eyes welled with tears as I followed the music down the hall. I quietly opened the door as the music stopped, and I could hear Uncle Francis taking credit for my work and telling his friends that he was thinking about working on more music that he could finally make his own money on. This was all the start of him forcing me to write music for him and taking credit for everything. With my talent in his name, he created an empire. I cannot count the times that I wished that I wanted to share the truth, but his hold over me was too great and that he would ruin my name and expose my greatest secret that I share with you. A few weeks ago, I had enough with his antics and lies. I acquired a revolver from his office that he keeps for his protection, and I brought it to my room. I called for him as I was just finishing up my most recent sextet. I rushed into the room greedily to inspect the pages like they were rubies and diamonds. When he was done, he pulled out his pen to sign the cover with his own name like normal and starts carrying it to the door. I step in front of him and request that he gives me back my music, and that I was going to expose him for the fraud that he is. He tells me that I am nothing without his name and that my name would be stained without him, and he would expose me for the man that I am. I brought out the revolver and requested my music back. He chuckled and told me that I was nowhere near the man enough to shoot him. That's when it all turned black. I came to, and Francis's body was on the floor with a small pool of blood around him, his hand still clutching the sheet music. I heard a rapping at the door, and the conductor waiting to retrieve the music and deliver payment. I snatched the music from his hands and brought it over to my desk. I pulled out my pen, and I did what I was never allowed to do before. I signed my name below his, and brought it to the front door where the conductor was shocked to see me. I handed over the music and let him know that it was a composition of both my music and Francis's. He handed me the money and he left. After a few more times of signing both our names to some of the music and delivering the music myself to the conductors, questions of my uncle's whereabouts started to swirl. I needed to find a way to dispose of his rotting corpse and make it look like an unfortunate accident that I had no part of his disappearance. No one must know about this. A few of the conductors have started requesting music that I have written, as they are starting to see my talent, and I have started showing the parts of the music that I have written. Although I have a hard time telling them that my talentless baboon of an uncle never wrote any of it. If you could please come at once, your presence will surely calm my nerves. With all my love, my dearest Philip, Robert R. Frobisher.
1922, December. The orchestra has just finished playing one of your many works, and it was greeted with a stirring round of applause and a standing ovation. Receiving the gratitude of the audience, everyone breaks into their own groups, but you hang around the stage to kind of bask in the glory that was your masterpiece, or at least the masterpiece since your last one. In a few moments, everyone's kind of cleared out of the hall. It's gone rather quiet, which is a funny juxtaposition to the music that was being made here but a few minutes ago. And then you hear the sound of footsteps across the orchestra pit. And you see a nondescript old man in a very nice suit, holding a bouquet of flowers. And he holds the flowers up to you from the pit up to the stage and says, "Beautifully done. Beautifully done, sir. It was truly outstanding."
I'm glad that you liked it. And have you been an admirer of mine for a while?
Many years. I have followed your career with relish. I believe you are quite an up-and-comer.
I'm glad that you enjoy it and that you're seeing how successful I am.
I see a glorious future ahead of you. And for that very reason, I feel like we would do well in a partnership, a sort of patronage, as it were. I have a request.
Oh.
In a few weeks, you'll receive someone seeking assistance. I would ask that you give them the time and hear them out. If it helps, I'll sweeten the pot a little. And he hands you a little box and reaches up and he gives you this smile, and you feel a shudder because the smile is... The man is so well put together, but his smile is so grotesque. His teeth are at angles that teeth simply should never be at, and they are of colors that no teeth, even in the worst face, should ever manage to become.
I wince and I grab the box.
Right. This is a wealthy patron. You've seen one, you've seen them all. You open the box, and inside is a small hourglass held in a blue kind of setting. And he says, if you ever feel like you need to rethink something, you give that hourglass a good turn, and maybe something will turn out for the better. I must be going. There are several other comrades of yours that I must see to. Really do, when you hear them request assistance, do hear them out, please. I would appreciate it.
I will do my best.
Good. You do that. And he checks his watch and he says, "Time. It's always of the essence." You maybe turn the piece over in your hands a couple seconds and you look back up and he's gone. You didn't hear him leave, but he's nowhere to be seen.